Hey grade 8s, welcome back, and today we'll be looking at some cycle tests to prepare you guys for your end of term cycle exams. We'll be using 3 different types of papers where we will take snippets of questions to assist as well as to explain to you how the different types of questions are asked with this regard. So without any further ado, let's quickly look at the first question paper with regards to a few questions from that first paper. So there's your first paper, the first snippet of the questions that we will be focusing on in this regard. So as you can see, you've got question 1.2 in front of you. 1.2.1 asks us for the prime numbers that are situated between 49 and 70. So this is a level 1 question. You need to know which numbers are prime numbers that fall between 49 and 70. So for question 1.2.1, all the prime numbers that fall between 49 and 70 would be as follows. So the first one would be 53. The second one would be 59. Then your next one would be 61. Then 67. And then obviously you cannot add another number over here, because the next number that falls after 67, that is a prime number, would be 71. And we've only asked for prime numbers between 49 and 70 in this regard. Okay. Then the next question that we're going to look for is question 1.3, and they ask you to write 1980 as a product of its prime factors in exponential form. But in this regard, they are asking you to use the ladder method. The ladder method. Okay. Now there is a video on the ladder method that I've posted last week that you could also fall back on and have a look at. So for this question, they're looking for the prime factors of 1980. What you need to understand, when you draw your ladder, it must look as follows. So obviously you draw your ladder. The 198 will always be on the right, and your prime numbers will always be on the left side. So with that, you need to understand that you've got prime numbers that start at 2, then goes to 3, then 5, and then 7, etc., etc. When you do the ladder method or the factor tree method, you must always start at 2 and use it as many times as possible before going to the next prime number, which is 3. So in this regard, we'll take the 1980 and we'll divide that by 2, and that will give us 990. Okay? Now we're going to use the 2 again. So we say 990 divided by 2, and that would give us the following number of 495. Now 495 cannot be divided by 2 because it's going to give you a decimal answer. So we've used the 2, so now we go to the 3. So 495 divided by 3, which is the next prime number, and that gives us an answer of 165. Now 165 divided by 3 will obviously work, because it will give you an answer of 55. But 3 cannot go into 55 evenly, but you can check. Yes, it does not go in evenly. So we then move on to the next prime number, which is 5. So 55 divided by 5, that will give us 11. Now obviously 7 cannot go into 11 evenly. So your next prime number that can go into 11 would be 11 itself. So remember that at the end of the day, your ladder must end on 1. If it doesn't end on 1, it means that you made a mistake over here. And your prime numbers must be in ascending order, from the smallest to the biggest prime number in this case. With that, we then go and we say 1980 is equal to 2 squared, because there's 2 of them, times 3 squared, because there's 2, times 5 times 11, and you've solved. With regards to the ladder method, you've solved all the prime factors for 1980. Okay. Righty, our next question. So our next question in this regard says to us, determine, this will be question 1.4, it says determine the LCM for 16 and 56. So to determine the LCM for 16 and 56, we need to do the following. So this question is 1.4. We will say 16 equals 56 equals. So what you do then is you say 16 equals shift and then factorize, and that should give you 2 to the power of 4. The next thing that you do is you say 56 equals shift factorize, and that will be 2 cubed times 7. Now they're looking for the LCM, the lowest common multiple. They're not looking for the highest common factor. So with the lowest common multiple, you look at the base values that appear in both the sequences, but the one with the highest exponent. And then obviously you also look for the numbers that do not appear in both sequences, so the 7 will also be used. So in this regard, we will then say 2 to the power of 4 times 7. You then need to go and calculate this. So you say 2 to the power of 4 times 7, and that gives you 112. So your answer is 112. So the LCM is 112 in this case. Okay. That brings us to our next question. So 1.5 says the perimeter of a rectangle is equal to 720 centimeters. The ratio of its length to its breadth is a ratio of 3 to 5. Calculate the area of the rectangle. So first of all, they spoke about the perimeter. So for question 1.5, the first thing that you're going to write down is the perimeter formula. So for a rectangle, the perimeter formula should be P equals length plus breadth plus length plus breadth in this regard. Or you could say 2 times length plus 2 times breadth. Then, moving on, we will then say the following. As you can see here, you've got the perimeter, which is 720, so 720, you fill that in. And then the ratio is 3 to 5. So if I draw the rectangle over here, they talk about the length to its breadth. So the length is 3 in the ratio and the breadth is 5. But we do not know what the values of these lengths are. So we're going to say 3x and 5x, and that is what you will work with in order to get the lengths of the sides to calculate the area of this rectangle. So the length would then be 3x plus the breadth, which is 5x, plus 3x again, and then obviously plus 5x again in this case. Then on this side you can see everything are like terms. So 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 3 is 11, plus another 5 gives me 16x. We need to get rid of the coefficient, so we divide both sides by 16. Therefore x in this case would then be equal to 45. Okay. If I now take this 45 that I've calculated and I go and substitute it into the x over there and the x over there, I will get the length and the breadth of this rectangle. Okay, so 3 times 45 will give me 135, and please remember that it would be centimeters. So the length here is 135 centimeters. Then the breadth would be 5 times 45, so 5 times the 45, and that would give me 225 centimeters. So the breadth is 225 centimeters in this regard. Okay? Now if I go calculate the area of this rectangle, the area formula for this rectangle, remember this whole thing continues over here now. So the area of the rectangle will then be area equals length times breadth. So your length is 135 and your breadth is 225. So we're going to say 135 times 225, and that should give you a total area of 30,375 centimeters squared in this regard. Okay, that is question 1.5, sorted, solved, out of the way. Okay, next question. Our next question states the following. So 1.7. So 1.7 states as follows, and we will be looking at this now over here. And this question is all about hire purchase. So they say the cash price of a washing machine is 2,799 Rand and 99 cents. If the washing machine is bought on hire purchase, no deposit required, the 24 equal monthly installments amount to 190 Rand per month. Okay? 1.7.1. The higher purchase price of the washing machine. So we need to calculate the higher purchase price of the washing machine, and that's easy. So 1.7.1. No weird calculations required. They already told you that your installments are 190 Rand per month, and you are paying for 24 months. So in order to calculate the higher purchase price, we say 190 times 24. So 190 times 24, and that would give me 4,560 Rand. So 4,560 Rand that I'm paying for the washing machine. Okay, if I do it on equal monthly installments on a higher purchase. Okay, then the second one, they're asking you to calculate the amount of interest that was charged. The amount of interest that was charged. So originally the washing machine costs this amount, but this is the higher purchase price. So for 1.7.2, we're going to take this amount, which is the higher purchase amount, and we're subtracting the original cost price, which is 2,799.99. Please don't forget to add the cents, okay? So when we do that, when we say 4,560 minus 2,799.99, you will get that they will charge you a total interest of 1,760 Rand and 1 cent. And 1 cent. So that is the amount of interest that they actually charge you on that washing machine. Okay. Now, if you look at 1.7.3, 1.7.3, they tell you the interest as a percentage of the cash price. The interest as a percentage of the cash price. Now the cash price is 2,799.99. The interest is this amount. So basically what they're asking you is to calculate what the percentage interest would be. Okay, so what you need to do is, for 1.7.3, you need to take 1760.01 and you need to put it over 2,799.99 and multiply it by 100, because you're calculating a percentage. So if we put 1760.01 rather over 2,799.99 and we multiply that by 100, we will get a percentage interest rate of 62.86% in this case. So that is how much interest they will charge you on the cost price, the original cost price for that washing machine, if you purchase it on hire purchase. Okay guys, that is the first question. Basically that's what they will ask you with regards to whole numbers. Please also remember to study rational, irrational numbers. So basically your whole number system, there is a video on that as well. I will put that video up in the description when we get to post the video. Okay. Just want to get the other questions ready before we continue. Just give me a second or two. Okay. So our next questions for the test will look as follows. We will have a look at a bit of integer questions at this stage now. So here are a couple of integer questions that we will ask. Please note that we will ask different questions, but they will be in the same type of format as these questions are in this case. Okay, so let's look at the first one. So the first question is the square root of 16 plus the square root of 9. So question 2.3.1, they say the square root of 16 plus the square root of 9. Please note each of them have their own square root, so you need to square root them first. So the square root of 16 is 4, square root of 9 is 3, and then only you can add them together, which will give you 7 in this regard. Okay. Then our next question, 2.3.2, it looks like this. So, before you can do anything, you need to solve whatever's in the bracket first. Get one term and then you can only square all of that. So, 2 times 2 gives me 4. Square root of 9 is 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 times 7 is 49. And there's your final answer in this case. Okay. Let's move over to the next question. So 2.3.3. So the cube root of 125. Subtracting the square root of 16. And we'll put that in a fraction of 2 to the power 5 minus, open bracket, 3 cubed plus 2 squared. Okay. Let's quickly have a look at this question. So, first of all, we want to solve the roots over here, and then we want to solve the brackets and the exponents in this case. Okay, so the cube root of 125 is 5. The square root of 16 is 4. Then 2 to the power of 5 is equal to 32. Now, we need to solve this. So 3 cubed is 27 plus 2 squared is 4. We need to solve the bracket. So we say 5 minus 4 is 1. We leave the 32 as is. Then, with that, 27 plus 4. 27 plus 4 gives me 31. Then, over here, we've got 32 minus 31. Because a negative times a positive is a negative. And what you'll get then is 1 over, and 32 minus 31 should give me 1. So my final answer should be 1 in this case. So there's your final answer. Okay, let's jump into the next question. So our next question is 2.3.4. And that will look as follows. We've got 4 times 10 squared minus, open bracket, 4 times 3 squared on the outside. So, brackets first, then we solve the rest. Remember to solve the exponent as well. So, 4 stays there. 10 times 10 is 100. Minus 4 times 3 is 12. With the square on the outside there. Solve the bracket first. So 4 times 100 minus 144. We will then say 4 times 100 is 400 minus the 144. So that will give me the square root of, remember you need to say 400 minus that, will give you 256. And then if you take 256 and you square root it, your answer should be 16 in this case. And there's your final answer for that question. Okay. Okay guys, let's jump into the next question before we continue with the next part of our paper. The next question looks as follows. So 2.3.4, I did this one as 2.3.4, but we're going to look at this question now as well. So if you look at this question over here, if this thing can just focus, let's see. There we go, 2.3.4, that's what we're looking at. You see there they give you A has that value over there, B has that value, and then obviously C has its own value. Then they ask you to determine B times C over A. So they ask you to determine B multiplied by C over A. My opinion here, if you've got these values over here, to put them in brackets when you put them in. Okay, so first things first, B's values, there's B. So for B, I'm going to say 2 cubed times 3 times 5 squared, multiplication sign, that's over there. Then they tell me that C is 375 over, we put that over A, which is 2 times 3 squared times 5. My opinion over here is, get this solved first. All the exponents, get the exponents solved. Okay, so in the first bracket, 2 cubed is equal to 8 times 3 times 25 times the 375 that we've got here. Then, the bottom we've got 2 times 9, because 3 squared is 9, times 5. Now, once you've got all of these sorted, I would suggest that you solve the bracket first, solve the denominator, and after you've solved this bracket at the top, you multiply it with the 375, and then we will simplify. So you'll say 8 times 3 times 25, and that will give you 600. So this first bracket gives you 600 times 375. Okay? Then the denominator, we will say 2 times 9 times 5, and that would give you 90. Moving over, so 600 multiplied by 375 would give me 2,225, or 225,000, sorry, 225,000 over 90. And if you divide this by 90, it will give you a total of 2,500. And there you've solved the question. So remember, work from left to right. Solve the exponents first, solve the brackets, then only simplify after that. Remember, you can only simplify if you have one term as a numerator and one term as a denominator. Do not try and simplify it if it looks like this. You're going to make the worst mistake ever in your life if you do that. Okay. Okay, guys, let's see what else we've got here before we move on to our next section of our papers to be discussed. Okay, we are done with integers now, so we'll jump into fractions. So that will be common fractions as well as decimal fractions. So we'll try and start with common fractions, and then we'll jump into decimal fractions from there. Okay. So, first question in this regard. Let me just get it sorted here for you. There we go. This is another paper that was also written. So we'll look at this section over here. This section. So the first question is 3.3.1. So I'm just going to leave it there as we go. So 3.3.1. It's 3 open bracket 2 over 1 over 5 minus 3 and 2 over 8. There we go. First things first, you want to sort out the problem over here. Okay? And the problem over there is that you've got mixed fractions. We need improper fractions in order to get the LCD. So, multiply at the bottom, add the answer to the top. Multiply at the bottom, add the answer to the top. So 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11 over 5 minus 8, 3 is 24 plus 2 is 26 over 8. Now we need to find the LCD. So the LCD in this case will be as follows. It will be 40. So in order to get 40, you need to multiply the 5 by 8 and the 11 by 8 there, and the 8 by 5 and the 26 by 5. So, (11 times 8 gives me 88 over 40 minus 26 times 5 gives me 130. 130. Okay, over 40. Now that the LCDs are the same, we can subtract the numerators from one another. So the 3 just comes down until you've got a single term in this bracket. Okay? So if you say 88 minus 130, you should get negative 42 over 40. So negative 42 over 40. Now you distribute the 3 into the bracket. So if you say negative 42 times 3, you should get negative 126 over 40. Now you need to go and look. How many times does 40 divide into negative 126? So, 40 divides into negative 126 3 times. You will then have a remainder of negative. Wait, let me rephrase myself. So obviously your negative over here. So negative divided by a positive is always a negative. That negative must be written in the front. 40 goes into 126 3 times. Remainder 6 over 40. Okay? Then we can simplify this fraction. So you've got negative 3 and what can go into 6 and into 40 evenly would be 2. So we divide by 2 there, and we divide by 2 there. So you'll then have 3 over 20. And that will be your final answer for this question over here. Okay. Let's jump into our next question, and that would be 3.3.2. Our next question, 3.3.2. So 3 over 4 divided by 5 over 12. This is an easy question. You need to follow the tip and times rule. Okay, so 3 over 4, change that sign to multiplication. 12 becomes your numerator, 5 becomes the denominator. Okay, now you can cross cancel. So 4 divides into 12 once and into 12 3 times. So what you'll have left then is 3 over 1 times 3 over 5 in this case. You now say 3 times 3 gives me 9. 1 times 5 gives me 5. 5 divides into 9 once. Remainder 4 over 5 in this case. And there you go. There's your final answer for 3 0.3.2. Okay, let's carry on. 3.3.3 gives us the following. So it's a square root of 2 over 5, and then we square it. So you keep the square root. Keep in mind that the bracket covers the whole fraction. So you need to distribute the 2 into the whole bracket. So 1 times 2 gives me 2 squared. 1 times 2 gives me 5 squared. Okay. Keep in mind that the square root also covers the whole fraction. So now 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 2 is 25. Because it covers the whole fraction, you need to square root the numerator and the denominator. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 25 is 5. And there's your final answer for that question. Okay. Next question. 3.3.4. A question like this, you guys will use your calculators. We know that because we do allow you to use your calculators. So we will give 2 marks for the answer. So what you guys will basically do is, you will say 4,2, and you'll divide that by 0,06, and that would give you 70. To give you 70, okay? Our next question, 3.3.5, is 12,6 times 1,000. Only thing that will happen here is that your comma will move up 3 spaces to the right, and you'll then sit with 12,600 as your final answer. Okay. Okay, before we go to our next question, just give me a second or two just to look at the next questions that we're going to do. I've got them right in front of me. Here they are. Okay. Just to have a look at this question again over here. Just to have a look at this question again. If you do it manually and not with your calculator, okay? If you do it manually and not with your calculator, I'm going to just complete it here quickly. You will then move the comma up, the amount of spaces with regards to the decimal fraction that has the most decimal places. So this decimal fraction has 2 places. So you're going to multiply by 100, okay, in order to move the comma 2 spaces to the right. Over here, if you multiply with 100 here, you need to multiply with 100 here as well, okay, to move the comma up 2 spaces to the right. Okay, 2 spaces to the right, if you can put it that way. Okay. So with that, if you do that, you will then get 420 divided by 6. Now 420 divided by 6 gives you 70. So that's the other way that you can do it in this case. Okay, so there's just 2 ways. Most of you will go straight for calculator method. Others would prefer to do the method where you move the comma and then divide accordingly. Okay. Okay, let's jump into the next question. So our next question is from another question paper that I went and quickly looked at. So our next question is over here. It will be 3.3.1, and that is 4 and 4 over 5 divided by 3 and 1 over 8. So we need to take that fraction and we need to make it an improper fraction first. Improper first. Okay? So 4 times 5 is 20 plus 4 gives me 24 over 5. Divided 3 times 8 is 24 plus 1 gives me 25 in this case. Now we need to tip in times. So, say 24 over 5 times 8 over 25. If you say 24 times 8, it should give you 192. And then if you say 5 times 25, that will give you 125. So, 125 goes into 192 once, if you simplify it. And then all you do is you say 192 minus 125, and that will give you a remainder of 67 over 125. And there it has been solved. Okay. Then our next question that we'll quickly look at is 3.2 of this question paper that we've got here. And it looks like this. It's 3 over 8 plus 1 over 6 over 3 over 4. Okay, so it's two fractions divided by one fraction. So my opinion here is sort this out first, because it's easier to work with one term than to work with two terms. Okay, so find the LCD here first. Solve this and then we divide. So the LCD, I'm just going to write it here. The LCD for these fractions over here, you just multiply the 8 by 6 and the 6 by 8, and that will give you 48. So our LCD is 48. So we say times 6 times 8. So 3 times 6 is 18 over 48 plus 8 over 48. And then you've got this massive thing over there. We now add the numerators together. So if we add the numerators together, you will get the following. You will get 26 over 48 divided by 3 over 4. Okay. Now you can go and make this smaller. You can go and simplify this. But when we calculate, we will make it smaller. Okay. From here, the next step is to rewrite this fraction. Remember, this line here means division. So when we rewrite it, I just want to move the board over a bit. When we rewrite it, you will have 26 over 48 divided by 3 over 4. Now you need to apply tip and times. So we will say 26 over 48 times 4 over 3 in this case. Okay. Now you can cross cancel. So 4 goes into itself once, and 4 goes into 48 12 times. Okay? You can also check if 3 goes into 26, but I doubt that it will. So 3 doesn't go into 26. So what you'll have then at the end of the day is 26 times 1, which gives you 26. 12 times 3, that will give you 36. 36 in this case. You can, however, now go and simplify it. So let's divide by 2 and divide by 2. So 26 divided by 2 gives me 13. And 36 divided by 2 gives me 18. And there the question has been simplified to its fullest. Okay, so you must check all of this. So again, it's easier to work with one term than with two. So find the LCD first, add together, and then follow the process to simplify the question as far as possible in this regard. Okay. Okay, let's move on quickly. Let's do this. We're heading to the last part of our discussion. So our next question is 4.1.1. And they tell us here that they want us to add 0.34 to negative 2.34. Okay. First thing that we're going to mark you on in this case is the following, the sign change. So 0.34, positive and a negative gives me a negative 2.34. So at the end of the day, your answer is going to be negative. Okay. So you'll say 0.34 minus 2.34 and that should give you -2 as an answer. Okay, -2. Then our next question, 4.1.2, 3,76 times 0,2. Write this over one another like this. Okay? You're going to solve this like you would solve a normal long multiplication question. Don't worry about the commas, we'll sort that out later. But one thing that you can look at is you'll see that there's 2 decimal places there and a third one over there. So your answer should have 3 decimal places. Okay, so 6 times 2, that gives me 12. Carry the 1. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Carry 1. 3 times 2 is 6, that's 7. Now because there's another number here, we need to put a placeholder. Okay? Now 6 times 0 is 0, 7 times 0 is 0, 3 times 0 is 0. And then we add all of this together. You'll then get 2, 5, 7 and the 0 over there. Now, to sort out the comma, you need to do the following. So what you'll do is, you'll see that there are 3 decimal places, which means your answer should have 3 decimal places. So you start at the back, and you move 3 spaces to the left. So 1, 2, 3. So therefore, your final answer will be 0,752 in this case. And there is your final answer. Okay. Then, 4.1.3. 10 divided by -0,1 squared. Okay. The 10 we leave as is. Division we leave as is because we need to solve this first. That's an even exponent, so this will become positive. So it will be positive, and then 0,1 times 0,1 will leave you with 0,01. 0,01. Okay. Now we carry on and we say 10 divided by 0,01. 10 divided by 0,01. And that would give you an answer of 1,000. Okay? Answer of 1,000. Okay, our next question. So 4.1.4, and this will be our last question of the day. They ask us the following. So they say the mass of a container is 235,7 grams. If the container is filled with diesel, the mass is 824,6 grams. Determine the mass of diesel. Okay, so the mass of the container is that. If you fill the container up with the diesel, the mass would be 824,6 grams. Okay. They want to know what is the weight of the diesel. So all we're going to do is we're going to say 824,6 grams, and we subtract the 824,6 grams by 235,7 grams. There we go. All we're going to do. So, you can't say 6 minus 7, so we borrow 3 left. 16 minus 7. 16 minus 7 gives us 9, okay? Your comma stays where it is. You can't say 3 minus 5, so we borrow 1. 13 minus 5 is 8. We borrow there. 11 minus 3 is 8. 7 minus 2 is 5. So, if you want to check your calculation, you say 824,6. So 824,6 minus 235,9, and it gives you a total. Oh, I did that wrong, sorry. It gives you a total of 588,9 grams. So the total amount of diesel that's in the container is 588.9 grams of diesel. Okay. Okay guys, that is it. We've discussed the paper. We've discussed basically all the topics that are being tested in the cycle for term 1. I hope that this assists you and that everything goes your way. Thank you once again for tuning in. Please like, subscribe and hit that notification bell and spread the word to all your friends so that they can join as well as benefit from this channel. Thank you once again. Have a good day. Until next time.